Is Jason up here? Just been super to help us kind of navigate our way through this, and so I guess we're gonna open this up for questions later. But I just wanted to tell you, kind of just from our perspective, we've got everybody kind of up here that is involved in the different pieces. Tim could address questions about moves over Salina, and I'll let the other guys introduce themselves, and I'll let Larry talk about all the things that I left out getting us kicked off here. So, you go, Larry.
Thanks, Trey. My name's Larry Brittingham, and I'm with Bennington State Bank. And one of the things I did, I was a new employee 12 months ago, so I asked my new boss, Mr. Berkeley, if he thought this was something very viable for Salina, and obviously he said it was, and that we should spend time on it. So from our standpoint, it helps create a bigger economic engine in Salina, and I think helps all the businesses in Salina. Helps with jobs, helps with all types of things that will make our community get to the next level. And quite candidly, we hope that's during our lifetime, but maybe it's for our kids and grandkids. And one of the things I've thought a lot about is 50 years ago, when Whitley Austin and a lot of people, we inherited an Air Force base that was probably the biggest disaster that ever hit Salina. And there were some people that had a vision when most people saw no vision. And they had a vision for something that could be much better and take something that most people thought was a bad thing and turn that into something that was a very viable part of our community. Now fast forward 50 years ago, today, and there's nobody in here that would say, where would we be without the Salina Airport Authority and that entire development out there? I'd like to think 50 years from now that people will say, you know, where would we be today if the community, not us, not Trace, not Jason, not anybody, but where would we be today if our community didn't step up and do this? Because the only way you're ever going to get ahead in today's environment in the business world is do something different. If you keep doing everything the same way, then it's very difficult to grow. So we have to think differently. We have to try different things. This plan has come from everybody's ideas. It's not Trace's or mine or anybody else's or you know, Brian Richardson's, but it did stem from the project with Brian and Pat Beatty of the Urban Group in Kansas City that made all of us think what might be possible. And, you know, for a group that wants to build a recreation center downtown Salina, that takes a lot of courage, and it just made sense for all of us that maybe there was a bigger picture built around that. But I also think it's important to say a couple other things that I'm not sure any of our ideas are new ideas. We were talking the other day about, you know, how do we get this done? And because 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, people have tried different things. And for whatever reason, those failed. I don't think it had anything to do with the lack of enthusiasm, but I think what happens is you get so far along, and we've kind of experienced that through the process, it becomes a lot of work, and it becomes some obstacles, and it would be easy to get discouraged. And I think what happens over time, people get discouraged. And so the response we've had from everybody has been very, very positive. But we also, I think, want to thank the downtown business owners. Many that are not in business today, a lot of them that have had the wherewithal to stick with downtown and to continue to believe in the downtown. And with all the things that are going on in our country, with the downtowns, the communities are rehabilitating, and we've looked at, I don't know, probably 10 different communities that have done that. If you've ever been to Grand Junction, Colorado, and spent the night in downtown Grand Junction, Colorado, it's a prime example, I think, of something that we can do here. And actually, we have a lot of those pieces already in place. So this continues to grow. We just met for a few minutes with a group that is even interested in putting a car museum here that would be as nice a car museum possibly as anybody in the United States has. And so all these ideas now are starting to come out of the woodwork, and people are saying, I think we can get that done. So my only comments are, thank you for being here. But also, when we do get to questions, if you have a question, Michael said there's microphones on both sides, so I want to make sure we say that. And if you'll come up, that way everybody can hear your question. I think we'll do our best to answer that question. And we may have some that just simply, we don't know the answer to that today. So, Jake?
Our perspective of the city, because sometimes, you know, communities like to see that the demand for development, and you may have a developer come in from out of town and they have this grand plan and everybody gets excited, but then you got to figure out, well, what's their background, what's their business ethics, what's really going to happen, what are they going to? Is it going to be successful? Are they going to come in, make some money, and leave? You get all those situations that occur, and the difference in this case, which is why this is so unique, is that what we have here are people from our community that are business people, that have families, that multiple generations in Salina, that take ownership in their community, that want to invest in their community. And specifically in the downtown, in the core, the heart of our community, the place that really defines who we are as a town and provides the history of our community. We're so rich in history and culture in the downtown. And we have a group of folks who want to invest their time and their resources into that. And so what they are doing is they're asking the city to use tools